This podcast is brought to you by Kiwi Design. Kiwi is the leader in Oculus Quest and VR accessories. And now you can deck out your device while supporting the podcast.
The Oculus Quest 2 is a great headset, but do you ever find things could be a bit more comfortable, maybe a little safer? Well, we have the solution for you. With lens protectors, controller grips, face covers, head straps, link cables, headset stands, and so much more.
And let's be real, we've all whacked our controller. You don't want to be that guy messaging Oculus support for your own mistake or waiting weeks for an out-of-stock controller. Visit the link in our show notes now to prepare yourself today.
And you don't need to sacrifice comfort for cost either. Kiwi is constantly running promotions of 20, 25, and even 30% off.
Just visit the link in our show notes and use the promo code on their website to take full advantage of your savings. And be sure to follow the link in our show notes so we get credit and you help support the podcast. And remember, Kiwi has you covered for all your VR needs. Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR. Today we're talking about Rezzil Player, a VR sports game on the official MetaQuest store, made by developer, check this, Rezzil. It's rocking a 3.8 overall on the official Quest store with 106 total ratings and 74 written reviews, and it's $18.99, which I know you laughed at a little bit of. My brain knows $14.99 and knows $19.99.
It knows $9.99. It never knows $18.99.
Yeah, so definitely a funny price point there. But yeah, it's a VR sports game. They say it's a collection of sports training games that, according to them, will improve your sport or improve your performance in these sports. There's over 160 levels in the games. There's 40 different aesthetic, cosmetic items, I guess you could say.
Yeah, which are purely cosmetic.
Yeah, there's
no performance advantage by having it.
No, it's just like gloves and mitts and that kind of stuff. And they have some DLCs for those as well. Like if you're a big specific sport team fan, like Manchester United or anything like that, they have some like Manchester United packs. So pretty simple stuff with the aesthetics. But the idea of this game is that they have a couple different sports. Like they have football, they have a basketball, they have a soccer one, and then they also have a reaction wall. But the idea is to have these mini games specific to these sports that the idea is that they will improve a certain element of your game in those sports. So for football, they have what they call field general, which is a throwing drill. For soccer, they do what they call headers. It's all about headbutting the ball. And then for the basketball, they have something called hoops vision, which is basically a rhythm game.
Yeah, like Beat Saber with a basketball.
Yeah, you kind of take the basketball and you have to move it through these hoop rings coming at you. But they grade you a little bit for, as you pointed out, your miles per hour on there. So the amount you can like juke it and then pass it through. And then they also have, this one's definitely my favorite. It's a reaction wall. This one's not really specific to any sport. They have like a MMA fighter as the cover artwork of it, but it applies to any sport. It just pretty much improve your general reaction time. So it's like a light board. Lights pop up, you have to hit the light. And then, they have a micro wall that's pretty small. They have a 90-degree one, a 180-degree one, a 360 one. You'll get some lights top and down. So the reaction wall is definitely my favorite, but it can get pretty challenging at the big walls.
Well, yeah, because they give you the mini reaction wall, which is by far my favorite of the reaction walls. And then from there, they do like the 90-degree, the 180. And then if you want to go full-blown gangster, you can do the 360.
Which I can't even imagine successfully doing.
So you're going to have, hundreds of different possibilities of lights popping up. And then you got to quickly tag the light. And at times how many. They do a great job in this game with all your stats, though.
That's definitely one of the elements of this game that shine the most. They track your stats not just with the current game you did, but long term. They'll be like, hey, your reaction time went down from your average.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool. Where the reaction wall kills me is in the bigger ones. It's not just lights on the wall. There's a light on the top and a light on the floor. So not only are you looking for the ones right in front of you, you got to keep an eye out for if it goes top or down. Then you got to squat down, hit it, or reach up, hit the top one. Those are definitely the ones that slow down my reaction time the most.
Oh, yeah. I think on the mini wall, the worst I ever did was like a 1.3 second delay in between, a light lighting up and me hitting it. But that's because I just
You lost it. You lost where the light
I lost them. You kind of get, picture a wall with like 15 or 18 different light possibilities on it, and then one pops up, boom, red, and you got to tag it real quick, and you kind of get a rhythm going.
But you lose that rhythm, and you said 1.6 seconds. That
1.3.
1.3. That doesn't sound like that long, just audibly. But when you're sitting there playing the game,
it's a long time.
It feels like an eternity. 1.3 seconds. You're like, where is this light?
But out of all the ones they offer, I think that's the one that one could probably walk away with the most.
Well, because
beneficial.
That's not specific to any sport. That's in general reaction.
That's
time.
For anything, yeah. Overall reaction times.
I saw my reaction time improving on that one. Like all the mini games have a leaderboard. So my first couple, I think I was ranked 9,000 on the micro wall, and I was like, all right, let me do this, and I did it probably for about 45 minutes, just retry, and I ended up ranked like 360. Like
yeah, you send me a message as soon as you tagged in a decent number.
Because they give you a multiplier for doing it in under a certain amount of time for reaction. So it's like, man, like you said, you got a rhythm where you start really banging them out, your score will shoot up. But the second you stall, you're done. And that's part of the reason I like the micro wall, because everything's right in front of you.
Yeah, there's no having to look behind you or turn around. Or
where I feel like the example, like the 180 degree wall, a problem I run into that is like, that's more than the field of view on my headset lenses, So it's like in real life, if I didn't have a headset on, I could do that much easier. Whereas like with wearing the Quest, I need to look to my left or I need to look to my right in order to see those lights. They're not just in my peripherals.
So I even tried to fool it by playing in a chair to see if it would be easier because of the reaching up and touching the floor. And no, it's not any easier.
No, it actually ended up harder for you because when it's time to touch the ground, you gotta hop out of the chair.
You gotta lean forward and really do it. But my problem is and this sucks, but it's like low ceiling. If you have low ceiling, or in my case a ceiling fan, there really isn't a lot of ever wanting to reach up above anything above my head.
You get cautious of?
Yeah, it's almost guaranteed that you're eventually going to hear the cling.
Hit the ceiling fan. And they give you the full warning when you go into this about, hey, make sure you're
just
warmed
so
up.
Everyone knows. So if you're going to do it and do the one where you have to, and the same holds true for the
field general,
the American football, to throw a football, you got to throw it over your shoulder and let it go. And I did that once and was like, whoa, I came like nano inch close of really taking out my controller. So again, just caution with the ceiling fans.
Yeah, fair warning. Like you said, anytime you're reaching overhand.
Holy shit, yeah.
So so that's the micro wall. Or, I'm sorry, the reaction wall. I keep calling it the micro wall because that's the one game mode I do on it.
Yeah, I got you on that.
And all these games have little settings on the side before you hop into the actual game that you can play around with that either increase or decrease your score multiplier.
Yeah, the settings, they do a really good job with the games. With, like you said, if if it's too challenging for you, you can, but it's going to have an effect on your ability to have a really good score. So if you're competitive, man, anything you do that takes away from getting a good, possible score, it's just that's going to suck.
And on the opposite, you can play with some settings that increase your score.
Absolutely.
So if you're like, all right, I really want this leaderboard, but I don't feel like I can do it with just what I'm doing now.
Yep.
Make it a little bit more difficult for yourself for some settings, and it'll be like times 1.2. Whereas if you go easy, instead of it being 1.0, it'd be times 9.0.
Yeah. You'll you could ace a
0.9,
a perfect thing and a killer game going on, and then at the end of the day your score is not going to reflect it, because same holds true with Beat Saber, because they do that in Beat Saber too.
Yeah. So the reaction wall is all about hitting the lights with as quickly as you can to get your score. All reaction training.
Yep.
The field general.
It is a workout though. I will say, after 100 times, doesn't sound like much to just tap a wall, but it actually takes. Yeah, you feel it in your shoulders for sure.
Well, when I first do it, the first couple of ones, I'm kind of more tapping.
Yeah.
And then as I hit retry, every time I'm punching a little bit more, I'm getting a little bit into it. So yeah, by like the 10th, 15th time, I'm squared up in a stance. I'm full blown punching,
Yeah.
So definitely you can get a good workout at. Obviously, if you sit there and just try to tap it.
Oh yeah, but it'll tell you afterwards, like your score sucked.
Yeah.
Look at your reaction time. I want all my stuff under a second.
Yeah, and like you said, they give you really good stat breakdowns, and it'll show you up like green arrows saying it's better,
Yeah,
red
arrow.
arrows saying you did worse. So it's
kind
cool.
of did worse this time. What's going on? Maybe you should have some water.
They definitely have a lot of stat information for me on the reaction wall. So besides that, we referenced the field general. That's the American football. That's good to specify. You can tell that they're catering to the American crowd because they call the American football, and then the soccer instead of the calling
football.
Yeah,
calling soccer football.
So the field general is pretty straightforward. You just have to try to spiral the ball nice.
You're a quarterback.
Yep, you're a quarterback, and you have to throw it a good distance. But they have these little players running at you, and there's like a sack time, like clock going down, so you can't just sit there forever and line up your shot. So you got to pivot nice, throw the ball. It decent concept.
It shows the potential.
Yeah,
that's what I like. Because to throw a spiral, technically you have to hold your ball, and as you throw the ball, you snap your controller joystick in your throwing hand to the left as you let go, and it'll give it that perfect spiral, which is a little off from. It would have been cooler if they had it somehow tied into like a wrist flick.
Mm-hmm.
More like you throw the spiral, you give it that little.
Yeah, that one I struggled.
Flick off the fingers.
I struggled a little bit of, I don't play football every day of my life or anything, so I'm the wrong guy to go engage it. But I'm like, I don't know how much this one would improve my throwing.
No, I don't think. If we're looking at each one of these specifically, is there a takeaway to a sport?
Mm-hmm. Where it's like the reaction wall, we can very well.
Probably not.
The reaction wall, there definitely is.
Because you're throwing the football through like rings,
little targets. To me, if anything, the biggest thing it would help you with is like your reaction time with reacting to
if there was a dude running across the side of the field that you had to tag with the football or was running certain plays, and you were quarterbacking like that,
it would be way more
had to make the mental judgment of trajectory and all that versus motion and be able to like time it perfect, then I'd say there's probably a takeaway. But that's not really what it is. It's just I'd look at it as more as a throwing arm workout.
Yeah, and improve the power of your arm, I guess, just because you're doing that motion so much.
And my cautionary would be the ceiling fan, and make sure you have a wrist strap.
Yeah,
I use we both have the same Kiwi grip, so I don't have any. I really don't have any issue with if I accidentally let go. But yeah, definitely don't not wear a strap for that.
No, and I'm not going to say the field general sucks or anything too. Mm-mm. It's just I don't know how much the sports translations there. It's definitely gamified. It's definitely fun.
No, again, that's one I kind of put in my head as like, all right, that shows some potential for, and you already see improvements to past football games, and then there's some official ones coming. The NFL's got one coming, so the potential's there.
Yeah, so that's the field general.
But it's fun.
Yeah, like I said, it's I struggle if there's the full translation to real life sporting, but it's definitely a game.
There's definitely not.
It's definitely a fun game mode. And then the headers, that's the soccer one. They have like 3 different versions of this one where, one's passing, one's control, or clearing, I'm sorry, where you have to like try to clear it out of the way. The other one passing, you have to try to pass it to the correct. They kind of have like a stationary teammate with a ring around him. Mm-hmm. So they shoot the ball out of this machine. And you have to kind of, guess where the trajectory is going to be and line up and, headbutt it.
Headbutt it in.
Yep. So headbutt towards
a
your
safe
teammate.
way to headbutt without getting brain disorder.
Yeah, but I will say is you don't need to do like the full headbang. Like you don't need to go back and forward. And like that's probably not good for your neck with a weight on it like that, especially if you didn't stretch and warm up the best. What is nice is you can kind of just, I'm trying to think of how to describe it, like kind of like penguin lean into it.
Yeah, you can get away with not having to even jump. I know a lot of people jump.
I don't jump with it.
No.
Personally.
And I don't because, again, I'm like, I don't want to smash my head on my ceiling fan.
And this is probably the one that I got the farthest in and did the best in besides the reaction wall. So the reaction wall is the only one that doesn't have levels either. They just give you the different sized walls. But all of these ones have like, example, you go to do the headers passing. There's like, I don't, off the top of my head, maybe like 20 different levels. So level 1's real easy. Each one gets a little bit harder from there. So besides the passing, then there's the clearing where they shoot the ball out of you at the machine again, and you have to try to clear it out of the way. And then there's a scoring one where same thing, shoots it out of the machine. They have a little make-believe goalie guy in front of the goal.
Nice little field layout of players.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then you have to
Target zones too in the goal.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's not just like a full empty net, which would be ideal, but they actually like go, no, you have to put it in these two specific areas. And
yeah, that's the one besides the reaction wall that I'm like, there's probably the most real life sport translation in my opinion. But I don't play enough soccer. Exactly. I'm not going outside.
My only disappointment, honestly, is because I grew up as a kid playing soccer. It was real popular where we grew up. Is you want to kick the ball, right? So it's like when I sight unseen seeing soccer as one of the games and challenges in Rezzil, I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be fucking great. But then I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
How are they going to do that?
You can't really. What are you gonna flick? Press a button and your foot kicks? That doesn't feel like VR. So
yeah, there's a couple times in this game, and this is one of them. With this soccer example, you hear soccer in it, you don't picturing that the whole thing is going to be based around heading the ball.
Yeah.
Some things about this game feel like that they got the idea and want to do it before really coming to terms with what the limitations of the Quest 2 were. As silly as that sounds, because it sounds like somebody high up said, we're doing a soccer training game, and it's like, well, okay, well, what can we do with soccer? Maybe there would have been a better sport to do that has more like ways that you can train for that in VR, because I think heading the ball is the only soccer drill you could probably do with VR? The Quest. Yeah, so
right
it's like,
now? Yeah.
Was soccer even the best one to go with?
Well, yeah, they kind of had to. Yeah. But I don't I'm not disappointed about it. I was just thrown by it.
No,
I was like,
I agree. It's not
it's all going to be heading the ball.
It's not what your initial impression is when you hear the word soccer training.
But it is a big part of the sport of soccer too. So
yeah.
To be able to do that and not feel any, you fuck up doing that, catch one in the face.
CTE is real, dog.
Yeah.
Soccer ball whipping at your head. You don't want to do that a million times a day.
I did see a study with soccer players and
CT. Yeah, CT. Dude, that's the first thing I thought. I was like, because there's even one point in the tutorial they're like, oh, now, you can take these drills and go practice it out. Like they say it during the heading drill.
I'm like, you're going to say. I was dying.
I was like, I'm not headbutting this fucking ball in my free time. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I'm going to get CTE.
I'm all set.
I'm all set, dog. You can keep
That's why I got the VR.
That's why I'm doing this in VR. I don't want to headbutt a ball. I stutter enough. Jeez.
Yeah, no, it's crazy to know that outside of VR that there's probably a lot of players professionally. Like if you were to ask them how many times have you just even in practice, it's like you're talking thousands.
Yeah,
so at least it offers a safe way to.
Yeah, without getting micro concussions all day long.
Yeah, and the physics of you're funny. The physics of the ball reaction to your head and how you're turning your body and all that seems pretty good.
Well, that's why I say I think that this
especially how like you position your head. If you try to really laze out of it, it'll literally just bounce.
That's a huge part of this one is your trajectory and your positioning. That's why I felt like that there was much more actual sport application out of the heading drill than like the field general.
Yeah,
because the field general,
field general to me is
I don't think I'm going to throw a football any better in real life because of that training. Whereas I might actually position my body better for a heading, like serve or hit, whatever, based off of that training.
Totally see that.
And what I liked about the heading one is that there's 3 different types of mini games with it. You have the passing, you have the clearing, and you have the shooting. And each one has 20, 30 levels. And same thing, they have like settings that you can, add a multiplier to or decrease your multiplier or whatever.
So do you think there's really a soccer ball launching machine that they have like that?
Yeah, we call it the CTE machine.
That just...
Yeah, definitely.
Damn, dude.
Definitely. Without a doubt.
That's crazy. All right.
Without
it doesn't matter. So but yeah, they seem to use that machine a lot. So I was just curious, like, is that a real thing?
Yeah, it's definitely got to be. And yeah, every single heading drill is all about that machine. That's it.
Yeah, and it'll light up green so you'll know which one, because I'd say One thing I've noticed is anything that has multiple levels in this, anything after level 5,
It gets extreme.
it starts like they're turning it up a notch. Like they coast up the dial real nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then it seems anything after 5, even in the non-sports related per se, like even their games that they have, where you hit balls with a paddle into cubes. It's more of like a novelty game, but it's pretty fun. Damn, man.
Yeah, after like level 5 or 6, it gets real hard.
Yeah, you're
so
like, God.
you're doing the soccer one. It's like the first level. There's just
You
one.
feel so good about yourself. You're like, I got this.
Yeah, there's just one machine shooting balls at you, and then all of a sudden there's 2, and then you move a little bit more, and not only is there more, but now they're moving around too. So before they were stationary, now they're all in different spots. So it definitely gets much harder. And like I said before, there's a leaderboard for every single one of these mini games. So if you're the type of person to get competitive, you can really shoot up that leaderboard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how some of these people get some of their frickin' scores.
Dude, we know somebody who's sitting in the top 3 in a couple of them.
Yeah, it's insane. It's because even the reaction wall, it's like once I hit 360, it's like the difference of my score and the people who are in the top 10. It's
I can't figure it out.
Inconceivable amount. So nonetheless, that's the field general, and then the last actual sports game in this is the basketball one. They call it Hoops Vision. Like we said, it's like a rhythm game. We kind of described it before. You hold a basketball.
It'll even tell you before you play it, like position your hands in front of your chest and press the trigger on either controller, so you know your hands are comfortable. So it's like you're holding the basketball where it should be.
Mm-hmm. And then from there, the rings come at you, and you have to pretty much position the basketball so that it's going to be in the center of the ring.
Yeah.
And like we said before, you can thrust it
through the ring
and get a little.
You never
extra
let
points.
go of the basketball. It's always in your hand, so
No.
you're just holding on to it. But they have 2 different size rings too.
Yep. So the smaller ones, like obviously they get you more points because you have to be more accurate with it. And again, the more in the middle, the more points you get with it.
And then they give you the colored pass the ball. Well, that's what they say, but
Yeah.
basically they'll give you a colored ring. They could be 3 different colors.
Yeah, it might be like green, red, and then a regular color. And then there's going to be a guy that pops up on the side, and whatever color he is, you have to pass it through that ring. So if he's green, you have to move your ball through the green ring.
Yep. And there's usually always a white ring in those patterns. So if you don't
see a person,
see a person,
it
go
just
through
means
the
white
white
ring.
ring.
Yeah, that messed me up the first time.
Yep. Or you know, and this has happened to me a few times. That's actually one of my favorites too. Is the I guess if I went in order, it would be the micro wall. I like because like everything's right there, and it's like it's reaction time. It's pretty damn cool. And this basketball one, which wasn't my favorite at first.
No, but this is another one to me. So I have.
You're going to be doing a lot of squatting down too.
It's a good workout with
right,
it too, because it's a
down.
rhythm game, and the different game modes, quote unquote, on this are just different songs. So they have a handful of different songs. So we have 4 different sports training in this. We have the micro wall, the soccer, the football, and the basketball.
Mm-hmm.
In my eyes, 2 are applicable to real life, very much so, being the reaction wall. Just because, dude, that goes for any sport. Improve your reaction time. And the headers drill, I saw something really good there. The field general feels like a fun game, but I don't know how much the real life sport application is.
Yeah.
And I feel that way with the basketball too. But the basketball, I'd rank a little bit above the football, surprisingly, because the basketball on surface, it seems really like I'm not getting anything out of this. This is pretty odd. Again, it's kind of like the same impression with the soccer. You hear soccer, you think you're going to be kicking. You hear basketball, you think you're going to be throwing the basketball, not playing a rhythm game about moving the basketball in your hand.
No, I think the key would be is the speed that you're throwing it through the ball, because that could potentially improve in real life.
Yes, as well.
Like for passing.
You know, yeah, you're sitting there, you're about to take the shot, and then, you know, you're juking the ball side to side. I could see that more so than the field general. But it definitely feels a little bit more like a game than a real-life sports transition, in the same way that the field general did to me. So for me,
I'd rank it 3.
For me, there's two that you could really carry over, and 2 that maybe they can be. It's just I'm not 100% sold that these are, you know, you're going to improve in basketball or football with those. But you are going to have a fun time playing them.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not a bad.
And
but I agree. It just depends on what you're. I mean, if you don't play any of these sports, then it won't matter at all, will it?
No, but that almost makes me wonder. I was saying this to you a little bit off air before we started recording. I almost wonder if they would have been better going the direction of like the reaction wall isn't specific to any sport. It's reaction time. It's improving a general sport attribute. I almost wonder if they would have been better to do here's reaction drills, here's speed drills, here's strength drills, whatever. So that way it wouldn't be, hey, I don't like these sports. I'm not going to play it. Or, that's not really applicable to that sport. It's like, no, here's a general sports trait we're going to improve, such as reaction time, speed, whatever. But yeah, that's just kind of my takeaway on it.
Yeah, I mean, one could, I mean,
I don't know how well that would go with marketing, and people would be like, oh, I'm just going to improve my fitness thing. So at the same time, I get why they did try to go with, general, full, broad sports. But there are also 2 other games, and this you referenced them before. They're little novelty games. You can find them in the menu. There's one that's called Raiders Block, and then, what's the other one? The other Raiders one. But basically, one's like exactly what you said before. It shoots a ball at you, and you have a paddle, and you have to hit this ball back and destroy blocks. And like the blocks have numbers on them, so you'll see like 1. There might be a block that says 2, 3, 4, and that's how many hits with the ball it takes. But there's physics with the ball too.
Seems easy enough.
Yeah, it seems real simple. So
but after level 5,
shit's not easy anymore.
Not at all. Same thing with their other one, because now you catch the ball in your hand and you got to throw it at like these robots, and you might have to hit them once. You might have to hit them 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
They have flying ones that they have these little ones. It's actually those games. Aside from all the sports novelty of the other shit they do, I really enjoy these.
Probably where I had the most fun.
Yeah, I mean, as a gamer, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I because like you go to throw the throw the ball at the little robot.
Yep,
and it slides to the right or it slides to the left. I was even finding myself trying to like fake throw it to see if it would move, and then. So they do a great job with that.
Yeah, and it's like the first one, the blocks one. It almost gives me like Brick Breaker vibes to it.
But
so
you're the
paddle.
Yeah, you have the paddle in your hand.
And there's a time limit. Let's say like 30 seconds, and
you can adjust your paddle too.
Yep,
So they give you some good. Really, again, they do good with their options.
Mm-hmm. And that one's fun because there's really good physics on the ball. So sometimes you'll get a good hit on it, and it'll bounce, and you'll hit almost every single block in one go. But yeah, shit gets hard in that one. I was doing it last night, and I think I was on like level 7 or 8, and there was a giant like TV behind my blocks that took I think 6 hits, and then you start to get like these stationary blocks that don't
break.
They don't break. They just take up space, and the blocks will be stacked on top of each other. So let's say they're stacked 6 high. You destroy the bottom 2, they all drop down. So it's what's cool is if you hit it and the ball stays there, it'll just knock them all down as they fall. Next one on top of it.
Yeah, and they're generous too with like if the ball bounces before it gets to the block. Like I had one that like seemed like it barely rolled into it, but it did take out the bottom block, and then as a result, it took out the. I was very stoked about that because everything's like you have a limit on everything, so if you don't do it in a certain amount of time,
30 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever. Same with the other game. It'll be 20, 30-second time limit. Like you said, in this one, they shoot the balls at you, and you have to catch them, one in each hand.
That's pretty fun.
You can even pass hand to hand. Yeah, it's got a little dodgeball feel to it.
Yeah.
So you catch it.
That's exactly what it feels like.
And you got, like I think it'll say enemies left. So let's say you got 6 enemies, and they come in waves. It'll even say, this is wave 2 or 4 or whatever. And then you see your time limit left. So there was even one time I lost a level because I had one enemy left and I ran out of time. Only happened to me one time. I was taking my sweet ass time picking them off, because there's these like point upgrade crates that drop as well. So it'll drop on the ground, and it's optional to hit it. You don't have to, but if you hit it, you get more points.
There.
Yep.
Because you only have 3 lives, and if 3 robots get to your thing,
you're toast.
You're done.
Out of business, son.
You know what's cool too is they even give you stats on this shit, and
yeah,
it'll tell you how many times you caught the ball with your left hand and how many times you caught it with your right hand.
Yep.
Even though if you catch it with your left to your right, you can transfer the ball over, but you can have the ability because some of the robots will shoot soccer balls at you as well. So you get the machines shooting the balls at you, which don't hurt you. They're for you to catch and throw at the robots. but the robots will occasionally shoot balls at you, and the robots will shoot meteors.
And you
if
you don't want to catch those.
catch a meteor, it's as good as taking a hit.
Yeah,
so
you lose a life.
yep, you're no good.
So
So
that they,
I had a lot of fun with just aside from the sport thing.
I think it's called I think that one's Raiders Defenders, maybe. But here's the thing: the blocks is obviously included, and then the other one, it says buy now, and then you click buy now,
and it's there.
it's there. There's no menu that pops up to.
I did the same thing, and I was like, oh shit, okay.
I even
I'll
checked
play
my
it.
bank account. I didn't get charged.
No,
Like, oh, this is weird.
they
But-
warn you before you ever get charged.
Exactly. That's why I was confused a little bit at first. I was like, that was.
And they do have DLC for this game, which we had mentioned earlier.
Yeah, and even for the Raiders block, which is included for free, there is an extra levels one that costs $2.99.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
that's
none of their DLC prices are like.
are bad. But what concerns me is they say that those two games are moving out of Rezzil, and they're going on to a separate game on App Lab. So that makes me a little sad because I'm like, this is some of the most fun I'm having on this app. Why are we putting them on a different app?
Oh, what's the other app? And is it free? What is it?
I know.
I mean, who knows what it is?
But these are great games. They should keep them in.
Yeah,
Keep 'em
no,
on.
they're cool for little side things and to break the pace of. And I honestly think it's just I'd keep them just so people would, there'd be that percentage that
Yeah,
would,
those
a
ones
reason to come back.
those ones could even. Those are the only games of all the mini games that could be done co-op. Like you could do 2 players in either the defenders or the blocks.
Yeah.
Easy.
Probably.
So, where I think that they shine though, outside of the little gimmicky, fun novelty games, is definitely the stat deployment in this. You play this a lot, you're gonna get a lot of stats, and I can't believe we're 30 minutes in and I haven't mentioned this. They do a lot of challenges and contests and giveaways. Like example, they're giving away a $1,500 grand prize for like a pentathon challenge. So it's like they pick 5 random games for you to play, and then your score adds into the leaderboard. And the top 10 players are all getting like I think it's top 10, maybe top 5. They're all getting some cash prize, with obviously first place getting the most, second place getting the second. And then they have some other challenges for like they're giving away boxing gloves,
A
Fitbit, I think a jersey, and they're always doing
soccer jersey and an American football.
And so they're always doing these type of challenges and giveaways. So if you find a sport game on this that you really like and you start to do good on the leaderboards, you can potentially take home an actual physical object or even some change.
Well, yeah, and there is a percentage of players who look for games that have that sort of possibility. They have tournament play, league play, anything. And this is probably the biggest example I've seen of something. They give a lot. I mean, it's
$1,500 is not,
dude.
chump
Scratch even the money. It's like a soccer jersey in itself is they're not cheap. A Fitbit, that's $100. It's like damn.
well, it's better than nothing.
Well, yeah, I mean, people are gonna play a game for
Anyway, you might
for
as
free.
well.
It's like, hey, we're gonna pay you to play it.
And I like how the cash prize one isn't specific to any sport.
No, you play
they give you 5 random games.
Yeah, and again, I look at the score because I tried it. Because of course, why wouldn't you? You're gonna dangle cash over my face. I tried the Fitbit one.
Yeah, I'm not winning 1,500.
I tried. I tried the Fitbit one, the reaction wall one, because I was like, all right, I don't need fighting gloves, but I'll take them. Why not?
The reaction wall is fucked up on that one because it starts as the micro wall,
Dude.
then it gets bigger, then it gets bigger.
What sucks is
then it
you
gets
finished and you think like,
All right, now
all
it's
right.
gonna register my score.
and then you see in the bottom of the screen, it's like
next.
next level.
You're like,
And I'm
what?
like, next level? Like, what are you talking about? I just did the level.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you mean next level. No.
It's gonna
no.
go all the way to 360,
gonna-
baby.
We're gonna play. We're gonna play this for a while.
Yeah, yeah. You're
I'm
gonna
like,
be.
shit.
it's time to
I'm
sweat,
not gonna
baby.
do good at all.
No, like I
am
said,
not.
I do great at the micro wall, especially because by default, on just the micro wall challenge, like itself,
Yeah.
there's not the top and down light. There is on the bigger ones, and you can enable the top and down light on the micro
No,
wall.
the
But
micro wall, I'll give fight, but
the micro wall is my favorite because it's easy.
360, 180.
Yeah, you can
You
get
know,
out of here with that. You can
I'm
keep that.
doomed. I don't know how. You'd have to have like a swivel foot.
Yeah.
Be able to like.
The
swivel
360
around.
concerns me. Like, you hear it ding, and you're like, well, let me just spin around in a circle till I see a light.
No.
What the hell, man?
Oh, you're funny. But no, I've never seen a development company give so much for people to play and be competitive. And
Well, obviously I've seen, some console games like competitive shooters with massive millions of followings. They give some cash prize for some league plays and stuff. But
oh yeah, I mean,
for a small little indie
no,
VR game,
I'm talking VR, man.
just giving, yeah, these are real nice incentives for players who are, like you said, they're going to play the game anyway. Why not?
Oh, and if there's a leaderboard, people will try to conquer a leaderboard. If you ever see the top 10 of a leaderboard, it most likely didn't happen just by accident. Like, oh, they just happen to be, no, those people fucking busted ass for it.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck chasing them.
So, yeah, no, it's tough. Like I said, 2 games that really felt applicable to real life, and
that
2
have a
that
carryover, yeah.
and 2 that I'm like, I'm not saying they don't.
Mm-hmm.
You could sit here and say, well, here's this study and this and the, it just, from my perception of my understanding of the sport and my playing the games, I'm skeptical.
I don't think it matters because it's a game, not real life. So.
Yeah. In the end, if you're not expecting that you're gonna buy a $19 Oculus Quest app and then become,
Because the reality is, if this was catered to only people that played basketball, football, and soccer, then it's a very small audience.
Yeah, you're not going to become an NBA player off of this, but nor are they.
No, it doesn't say NBA training camp.
So, you want to get into our final thoughts and ratings?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Well, like always, before we do that, let's take a moment to get a message from our sponsors. The people who, like I always say, besides the listeners, help keep the show afloat.
Hey everybody, Sweaty Sack Summer's approaching and it's time for you to prioritize the comfort of your fucking crotch. That's why the king of crotch comforts, Manscaped, have spent 2 years designing the most comfortable fucking boxer briefs out there. I've had the honor of testing out these new boxers and all I can say, it's the softest fucking fabric of any underwear. So breathable, it's like gills for your groin. They even trademarked the jewel pouch, so you know it's serious. I think it's time you invest in your family jewels, so let your bulge breathe and get 20% off plus free shipping by using the code RuffTalkVR at manscaped.com. Hey, truth be told, I don't usually wear underwears when I go out on dates, you know what I'm saying? But let's say you're on a date and your partner catches those words Manscaped on the waistbands of your underwears, it's almost guaranteed to raise some eyebrows and act like a billboard's on the highway to Pleasure Town. Hey, outside of just ball trimming, they're now focusing their efforts on helping out your thigh slappers and other ways with game-changing boxers. These new boxers include the Jewel Pouch, a fucking pouch designed to cradle your boys in their own special space, lined with perforated performance fabric to keep them well ventilated. Basically, just imagine your balls sipping pina coladas, chilling on a hammock on some tropical beach. This micromodal fabric is buttery soft and breathable, keeping your cucumber cool. Walk, run, strut. These moisture-wicking boxers breathes without even breaking a sweat. The front fly opening gives easy access and makes bathroom breaks quick and efficient. You can choose from an arrangements of designs and colors and sizes that range from small to 3XL for all my guys out there. Be sure to get 20% off plus free shipping with the code RuffTalkVR at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code RuffTalkVR at manscaped.com. Once the Boxers 2.0 touch your sack, you'll never go back.
All right, so into our final thoughts and our rating. So in case this is your first time listening, we do 5 gameplay categories broken down 1 to 20 with the total, adding up to the final score. We go gameplay, aesthetics, functionality, replayability, and value. So in a ranking of 1 to 20, starting with gameplay, I'm going to give them a 10. And I was going back and forth between 10 and 15, and here's my logic on it. All right, so they got 4 games, 4 major sport games. 2 I felt were really good, translating to real life, and 2 I didn't. So that's kind of my 10 out of 20 there. The part that was almost pushing me to 15 was that the 2 that aren't, translatable to real life, in my opinion. It's not like that they're boring. You can still have some fun with them. And then the App Lab games. So that's the part, not the App Lab games. I call them App Lab games because they're talking about moving them to App Lab, but the side games in there.
Mm.
So I was really going back and forth of, do I go, 15 or 10? What cemented me in the 10 is that a lot of the description of the game, based off of how I interpret it, is that it's a sports training game. So since, in my opinion, they only hit it on half of the games, I'm going to give them, half of the full score there. So they get 10 in gameplay. But it was still fun. Aesthetics, I'm going to give them 15. I don't think it was anything, anything that's going to, you're going to put it on, you're going to be like, dude, I feel like I'm in a real life stadium and I am playing sports. But at the same time, it's nothing that's incredibly too bad. I won't spend a bunch of time on this one, but aesthetics, I'll give them a 15. Functionality, I'll give them a 15. I didn't have any game-breaking glitches. There weren't anything that didn't, it's not like I had crashes or anything like that, but there were a couple moments, like with the headers, where the ball would come at me, and for some reason, it seemed to just go through me. In some ways, things kind of felt janky a little bit, but nothing that I can really nag them all the way down to a 5 or a 10. Yeah, I'm going to give them a 15 out of 20 on functionality. Replayability, I'm going to give them a 15 out of 20, and this is another category that I was kind of going back and forth in. I could see the argument for a 10 on this. I went with 15 because of the amount of stat tracking they had, their leaderboards, and their challenges and their constant events. I could see a 10, but they give enough in there that if you're somebody who's generally looking to improve a specific attribute, they give you all the data there to really hone in on that. But if example, you give your score and I hear 10 in replayability, I'm not going to fight you on it. It is what it is. Replayability, though, I'm going to give them a 15. And then value, I'll give them a 15 as well. I will say, I think that this game would probably be better priced at $14.99 than the odd middle zone of $18.99. Let's say they did $19.99. You could make the argument that they're giving away a lot of cash prizes. They're giving away a lot of other prizes that can kind of justify that price. But the reality is it's a very small percentage of people are ever going to receive anything or even have the time in life to invest that much time to take number one on a leaderboard or a 3 or whatever. I think a $14.99 price point would have been better, or $13.99 just to be silly. But value, I'm going to give them 15 out of 20. So 10, 15, 15, 15, and 15. I got them for a 70.
All right, 70 it is. All righty. So I'm going to say that this game has 16% 1-star hate. And some of it's pretty sad, actually, because it's just like, it's bullshit, but whatever. It seems like people like it, but even the 5 stars, it's a 50%. So it's this weird kind of mix of people who are playing it. There's some that are thinking one thing before they buy it, and then they get it and they realize it's something entirely different than what they might have thought. You're taking and absorbing it as mainly like a sports, this is a sports simulator, carryover, real life, whatever. I think some people are, like when I saw the soccer, I thought I was getting the kicking stuff, not the heading stuff. So people just need to know, I think, what it really is. I also agreed with something you said earlier, that I think they're squeezing, they're probably ahead of their time. And, the Oculus 3 or whatever it's going to be called would probably be better suited because they probably have much more that they could offer that would make it a better experience, but they can't because you're squeezing a rock and trying to get water out of it. And it just feels that might be the case with, the headset, and because it seems technologically wise, they have it figured out. But anyways, gameplay, I would give them a 15. Definitely, I don't feel it's a 10. I don't feel it's a 20, but a 15. It's fun. I think they're going in the right direction. And it sucks because I think their direction is better than the technology they have available in front of them. Aesthetics, I mean, I agree with you. It's not, you're going to start calling up your friends and be like, holy shit, look at this light board, or look at this basketball. But if you do, if you pay attention to some of the detail, like even the gloves you have, your sport gloves, it's got kind of that Pop One type quality looking to it. And we all know that we're suckers for those Pop One skins. So I do give them a 15 because you can see where they put the squeeze on where they needed to. I mean, let's be honest, you're moving around and shit, so you're not really stopping and going, wow, look at that. But definitely not a 10. Functionality, I was kind of torn, but I did have a couple issues with the headers that I think you and I had actually talked about when we were playing it, so I can't really go the route of the 20, but a 15 is definitely fair. It's a unique experience, too, because I just, again, if people know what they're getting when they like, hey, I like soccer, or I've always wanted to play soccer, I've always wanted to head a ball, then you're going to love it. If that's just not your thing, then no way, you're going to hate it. Same thing with football. If you're like, I don't like football, it's like, then don't get it, because you're just going to be set up for freaking disappointment. Replayability, you actually swayed me. Sometimes I'll like have something set in stone, and then I'll hear you talk, and then it kind of sways me in a different direction. So I actually give him a 15 on replayability. Originally, I had him kind of as a 10, but in that scope of them really pushing contests and the chance to possibly win something, I was taken for granted the people who are just, I mean, we're competitive in everything we play. So it's like there are people who are solo competitive and will just, this is a good opportunity for them. So yeah, it does have a 15, because if they're going to continue to have challenges and giveaways and add to the game and different, then hell yeah. But I can't give it a 20. And that's just me personally, because I'm not going to go to it every single day. I can't. I'd physically die, I think, because I got other things I got to play too. And value for money. This is one I was kind of torn with. $19.99, and you have, cosmetic DLCs for, $3 or $2.14 or whatever value you want to say. That's kind of where I felt although $18.99 is a unique price and we had a good laugh about it. If this was the $9.99, I'd be like, wow, that's a 20. That's a 20 for value for money. I would really feel that way. $18.99. It's funny because it almost makes me want to give like a 16, but I would say a 15 for value for money. It's not a money grab, because anything you're buying or choose to download or get the DLC is purely cosmetic, so it doesn't hurt your gameplay, or you get what I'm saying. So 15, 15, 15, 15, 15. 30, 60, 75.
Yeah, and I will add that there is one non-cosmetic DLC, being the additional Raiders block levels.
Yeah, but if that's all moving to
App Lab or
whatever. That actually, I got questions about that.
I would think that that's a bad move. Personally.
Not that I think anybody bought the game. It's something else I'll say too.
Oh, not that you think anybody bought the game just for those game modes. No, but that's a pleasant surprise. When you buy the game, it's nice that those are in the actual game.
So here's some shit. After reading all those like 1-star reviews, I'm almost thinking, and I think we kind of might have alluded to this in our own discussion. If they had all the same conceptual stuff there, but instead of being a soccer player, quote unquote, you were like, some freaking alien and you had to headbutt these moon rocks into different things, I think people would receive it better.
Well, it's not just that.
You know what I'm saying? In the
football,
it's like you're not throwing a football, you're throwing...
I don't know if they'd have to go the full sci-fi fake route, but I think that it's just, again, any negative feeling that I would have about this would be the fact that, in my opinion, it's very much marketed as a sports improvement training app game type deal. Whereas if they just called it a sports game with, like, you can play sports mini games, I think that would be a much more appropriate description. When I hear this, like, my brain starts to go, oh my God, you're gonna get better at these sports. It's not what you end up loading in and seeing, in my opinion.
No, definitely burn some calories though.
No, and there's, again, if they went the route of like, let's improve your reaction time, let's improve your speed, I think that there was a lot of potential there.
I think that falls on the mercy of the technology.
Yeah,
definitely. Because they have the technology to do pretty much whatever they want as a company.
Yeah, they do
it's not like there's some
pretty advanced stuff with sports
first time ever touching a computer in their life. They
do some things where they license some software with some sports teams, and they like import the footage, and then it real time tracks it. And they
so when I see what they have for capabilities, I'm like, all right, so they're definitely not held back by their own limitations.
Again, it almost feels like somebody gave an adamant "this must be done" high up, and nobody was like, that can't be done. But I guess we'll make some headbutting.
Well, you know? I mean, they've been around since August 2021.
Yeah, so. And my understanding is not all these sports were in there on release, and that they have more intention to release more sports. So it'd be cool if in a year we see there's like hockey, baseball, you name it.
I think what they did is they squeezed themselves into the market. They got their foot in that door, and they're just going to continue to build on it. And as the technology gets better and more accessible. Yeah,
and they seem really, really receptive to feedback. They respond to almost every review. So it's like, I'll give them credit on that. They don't seem like they want to abandon it.
No, I mean, they social media wise, they promote their stuff.
It's just I'll say it to anybody on the fence about buying it. In my opinion, it's more of a sports video game than a sports training game.
Yeah, I wouldn't look at it as a sports training.
As long as you know what you're getting when you get it, I think that you'll be happy.
That's also my point with the, you're not going to kick a soccer ball.
No.
You're not going to tackle people.
You're not shooting hoops.
No.
Which, not shooting hoops was interesting because I feel like that might have been achievable.
Well, yeah, because we have
just hoops with the hand tracking.
I mean, even Contractors has a basketball hoop.
So that one was real interesting to me that they went the rhythm game route. That stood out to me as,
again, I think
it's a game, it's not training.
I think we're looking at, the brain wants one thing, but the technology can't. Yeah. You just can't have it.
Yeah, that's why I think so. Oh, man.
Where if this was a tethered, plugged into a refrigerator-sized computer
with infinite power, and you have trackers on your ankles and full body
feedback, and little hammer that whaps you in the head every time you hit the ball with your head. So, but no, overall, it's going to be curious to see where they go with it.
Yeah, this might be one that in a year it's got a 4.5, and it's a completely different game.
We've seen it happen.
Or it's abandoned, and now they just go with whatever mini games they're making on App Lab. No, I want to know more about that. I think they're having
too much fun. But to anybody that wants a piece of the competitive action to actually like walk away with a prize at the end of the day, then this is like the best example you're going to find for that.
Yeah. So with that being said, I hope everybody enjoyed this episode, and check you out next week.